Welcome to the Return with Josh and Maria Cribbs. I'm Maria Cribbs.
I'm Josh Cribbs.
Josh,
Welcome.
I would say, it's victory week, but that is not the case.
That is definitely not the case.
Your Brownies let me down, babe.
They let us all down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we see them go through losses, we as a fan base, and we go through this every year. Depending on the loss and which type of loss.
I'm tired.
It's like throw Deshaun away. The quarterback is terrible. And then Coach Kevin Stefanski, get rid of him. I'm tired of seeing that, Ryan. And I know we were all let down because we feel like on paper the Browns should have put out a better product.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Right. I was embarrassed. What was your takeaways initially, just from the disappointment of the game, Ryan?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it was embarrassing. They got their butts kicked, no doubt about it. Dallas is a good team. There's no shading that, and their defense is probably even better than their offense. So that was a tough challenge in itself. I think the defense had some lapses. That's going to happen week one, even if you are at home. But the offense, I was at a loss of words, Josh, to be honest with you.
Right.
It was abysmal. The protection up front was bad. It got a little bit better. Deshaun was just escaping clean pockets. I understand he's nervous, but you can't do that. And he was missing wide open players across the middle of the field. Obviously, his receivers didn't do a great job of helping out their struggling quarterback by dropping those passes, but it was a shock to the system, honestly, is what it was.
I think
It was a gut punch to me.
Both of those. I think that was the
accurate. They don't know how much smack
portrayal.
I call people and talk. I'm a smack talker. I'm always be like, all right, we gonna dog your team. We gonna dog them stars.
And for me, it was a little bit. It hit home to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Washington D.C. The Cowboys to me is like the Steelers to the Browns. I'm gonna say that again. The Cowboys to me is like the Steelers to our fan base. We hate the Steelers here in Brownstown, right? And I'm from
DMV.
D.C.
Mm-hmm.
and we hate the Stars. So I still hate the Stars just like I hate the Steelers. So I talked a lot of trash to my friends
and your cousins,
some family,
and your family
at
members.
home, only to be disappointed heavily, just like our Browns fandom out there. It's a shock sent across, gut punch, like you said, Maria.
Gut punch.
Shock and embarrassment sent across Brownstown, Browns Nation. And we're going to get to the bottom of it.
We got a special guest coming up.
We got
next,
a guest
right?
coming up, and
Talking more Browns.
She knows it
She knows
all.
her stuff. She got the inside scoop.
Inside scoop.
Don't go anywhere. You know who it is. We'll be right back. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Return. Now, Josh,
yes,
we want to hear about all things Browns.
Yes.
Usually we want to hear from one lady, and I think we got her on the show today, right?
Right. We have none other than nationally known Mary Kay, the beat writer for the ClevelandBrowns.com. And she knows all, the end-all, be-all for the Browns. If you want to know something, you follow her on IG, follow her on
X.
Mm-hmm. As well with the latest news breaking. Mary Kay Cabot, welcome back to the show.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Good to see you again. We're all kind of dying inside right now.
I say this, Mary Kay. It's when I look at the tape, it's never as bad. Mm-hmm. The game tape is never as bad as you think, and it's never as good as you think. When you're looking at this game as a whole, when you look at Deshaun Watson's performance, how much was it him missing the receivers, making bad throws, holding the ball too long is something else I heard, versus maybe the play calling, protection, and the receivers maybe not getting enough separation. Tell us what did you see from that performance?
On our podcast yesterday on Cleveland.com, I was saying I give about 25% to Deshaun, 25% to the coaches, 25% to his supporting cast, and another 25% to the scheme. They just really weren't ready for this game. Mike Zimmer, the former head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, now the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, he brought it. He brought blitzes. He brought Micah Parsons from all over the place. Micah Parsons played with his hair on fire. He wanted to go out there and prove that he's the best defensive end in the NFL, the best pass rusher in the NFL. So it was a lot of things. It was a left tackle who had never started an NFL game at left tackle before in James Hudson. It was Deshaun Watson, in addition to coming off of a shoulder surgery and running a brand new offense, but also having gone through the emotional ringer in the previous 2 days. And I think that impacted him. His body language was not good. He did not have it. He was not all there. And I think those losses took an emotional toll on him in those 2 days. It was bad enough that he lost his father.
Right.
And again, he was not raised by his father. So this wasn't a situation where his father was his best friend and they were the two closest people you could ever meet. But even so, it took an emotional toll on him when that happened on Friday. And then you add to that the fact that he lost one of his best friends on Saturday to a shooting at a party. And I just don't think he was himself on Sunday in any way, shape, or form.
I agree with that. So we provide that grace for him. You know, all these tragedies happen. I played quarterback. When I went through something in college, I played bad versus Youngstown. Youngstown State almost beat us. However, when you kind of accurately portrayed who's to blame, it was almost as if you said it's a team loss.
She spread it even.
She spread it 25% here, 25% there. Because I saw plays where there were drop balls. There were these mistakes, the penalties, the coaching. I was like, what's the play calling? What's up? But one specific area, tell us how important would it have been for the Browns to have a run game while Deshaun Watson was and the receiving core and the play calling was having issues? That run game. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the run game would have helped. And of course, it's very, very difficult to keep the run game viable when you're falling behind in the football game. By the time they got to the end of the first half, it was 20-3, and your running game kind of goes out the window a little bit. So they really didn't have that kind of support. Jerome Ford only rushed for 11 yards in the first half. Not going to cut it. They weren't able to stay on the field and sustain those drives and keep it going. So that really didn't help matters at all. But I'll tell you, once again, those Dallas Cowboys and Mike Zimmer, they came ready to play. They came ready to stop that run. They came ready to swat down passes to Amari Cooper, even though they had one of their best cornerbacks out of the game with a stress fracture in his foot. So I think they ran up against a really good defense that was ready for this moment, and the Browns were not ready for it.
Mary Kay, we all watched Micah Parsons and the rest of the Cowboys defensive front really had their way with the Browns offensive line. I would love to have both Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills back next week. I don't know if that's possible. Hopefully, maybe at least just one. DeJuan Jones struggled, maybe his worst game of his career up to this point. What are you hearing out of Jack Conklin and Jed Wills, and when can we expect these guys to come back?
Well, Jack was getting pretty close last week, and then they made him inactive. Jed, I don't think, is as close as Jack because he really hasn't even practiced yet that much. So I think Jack might actually make it back sooner. But there were issues. As you mentioned, DeJuan Jones, people seem to forget that he also underwent surgery for a torn MCL in December. So he is still getting back and knocking off the rust. And then at the Greenbrier, he suffered a shoulder injury, and that was hurting him in this game. But he knows he's needed. He doesn't have time to be over there sitting on the bench. And so he's out there doing the best he can. But I think he's kind of banged up too. And I talked about that heading into this game. Let's not forget about DeJuan Jones. He's not really all back yet himself.
Mary Kay, now you spoke a second ago about our defense. Our defense was the best in the land last year. Everyone wants to know what's going on with our defense. How do you think they played Sunday? I think the first half of the game they only got two first downs. Is that true?
No,
what's that?
That was the offense. Going.
What's up with our defense though?
Yeah, like how do you think our defense played? Do you think they still top rank, or this just a one-off? 33 points. That's
Wasn't expecting that. Yeah.
Well, one of those touchdowns came on special teams on a 60-yard punt return. So we can't pin that on the defense. But they got off to a poor start in the first half. They had that blown coverage, that miscommunication on the 21-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks. That did not help matters, and it kind of unraveled from there in the first half to the point where they were down 20-3 at the end of the first half and getting booed lustily by fans. So they had a bad first half. They pulled it together for the most part in the second half. By this time, they're down 27-10, I think it was. So they're down 27-10, and they kind of tightened up after that, and they only gave up one more score after that. And so the second half, that was the defense that the Cleveland Browns fans know and expected to show up. But the defense is just as much to blame for this loss as the offense was, because they didn't do their part in the first half.
We getting a lot of this from, fans, and I second guess myself as it relates to this. Preseason, because you mentioned, and Maria asked the question about our defense, and they supposed to be top of the land. They supposed to be number one, but yet they still having these communication problems. Things that are, nitpick things, like you didn't know you supposed to cover back deep, and then offense with the penalties. How big do you think special team? I mean, I'm about to say special team. How big do you think preseason played a role in these guys having these little knick-knack penalties and then the communication issues on defense?
It remains to be seen if they will change the philosophy next year and get these guys out there playing more in those preseason games. I don't know if it's that as just as much as more situational football in practice, more 2-minute drills, more, just move the ball periods. I think it might be more that. But the other thing is, they did not have most of their veterans practicing throughout camp. There were so many times where you just looked out there and you did not have their guys. The whole defensive line, they weren't all out there at the same time. The receivers weren't out there. Guys just really weren't practicing intact because of injuries and rest and whatnot. So they might have to change their philosophy on that a little bit. I don't know that it would have mattered at all if Deshaun Watson had gone out in Seattle and played the one series that Jameis did. I don't know that would have done anything. So I think it's just more what you do in practice. Other teams go out there and don't play in the preseason and still can perform well in the games.
Deshaun's performance is a lot. Our fans, are tough. Our fans, Mary Kay, they call for everybody's head. Coaches, they want Kevin to give up play calling duties again already. They want Deshaun Watson out of here. And if you look at his play, right, I seen him escaping tackles. I seen him keeping a play alive. And in that scramble drill that I'm sure you saw us, over the years, every team practices that the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger did so well after contact, escaping the pocket, and then finding receivers running across the field. It didn't seem like we created enough separation with our wide receivers. The Browns just signed Kadarius Toney, from the Chiefs, former Chiefs. I didn't like him on the big stage. He was dropping a lot of passes for them. What does this signing mean? Is there room for him? Do they have plans for him? What does that mean for the Browns signing him, or does it mean anything at all?
Well, it could mean something. I think one of the things they probably wanted to add to the roster was some of that blazing speed that Kadarius Toney brings. If you can stretch the defense like that, you know what that can do to a defense. So I think that's the feeling there. Bring him in, take a look at him, see if you can't get him going a little bit, and maybe help him revive his career a bit. But you're right, he had drops in big moments, and that's why he's not with the Kansas City Chiefs anymore, even though he won 2 Super Bowls with them. So we'll see where that goes. I think the other key factor heading into this game and the next couple of weeks is the fact that David Njoku is hurt. He's going to miss at least a couple of games with a high ankle sprain. And not only is he one of your best pass catchers and one of your most highly targeted players on that field, but he's also a great blocker. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL right now. And they need all the chipping and blocking help they can possibly get, especially if they're not going to have Jack or Jed back at left tackle this week. You're going to have to help out James Hudson. You're going to have to be able to do that somehow. And one of the ways, of course, that you do that is by keeping your tight end in there to chip. Now, you don't want to do that all the time because you need him out on routes to create the damage that he can create. But still, it's a big loss to have to be without David Njoku over the next at least couple of weeks.
Now
Let me just ask. Well, I'm
Okay,
sorry,
go
Josh.
ahead.
Now,
You
Mary
got it.
Kay, I know you've been with the Browns. You've been riding with the Browns a long time, And Josh and I, we have a particular history with the Browns, being that you played for them for a while. I've seen, this is just me, this ain't got nothing to do with you, Josh. It's my question, okay?
Okay.
I have seen a revolving door of QBs come and go on this team, okay? Everybody's calling for Deshaun Watson's head. Would there ever be a case, a situation where Deshaun Watson sits the bench and Jameis Winston is our QB?
At some point, maybe. You can never say never in this situation. I asked Kevin Stefanski yesterday, are you really sure that this shoulder is healed and that he's ready to go? Because it didn't really look like
he wasn't throwing like it at all.
I thought he was throwing the ball good.
He let it loose a couple times.
He had some strength. I thought he had power, Mary Kay.
He did have some strength in it, but I don't know if it was always going where he wanted it to go or if that was just a function of miscommunications between the receiver and the quarterback in a new offense where a lot of choice routes are being run, option routes where the quarterbacks and the receivers have to be on the same page. Maybe they just weren't seeing things the same way or reading things the same way. But I just had to wonder a little bit if he was okay, because some things didn't necessarily seem like they were going that right. There were times when the ball was like so far behind Amari on one, but again, right. I mean, these can be miscommunication issues, not necessarily arm strength or anything like that.
Right.
So I don't know, but if he continues to play like he played in this game, they're not going to be able to tolerate that for the long haul. They have to hope that he pulls it back together this week.
Absolutely. And we want to.
She said this week, not week 4. She's saying this week.
Well, we
ASAP.
play against the Jaguars.
Yeah, she's saying.
And I think this is a game that everybody needs to understand that the Cowboys wasn't just a run-of-the-mill team.
Yeah.
They had a top-ranked defense as well.
Right.
And they're coming in here with a top-ranked quarterback as well. This just wasn't a fly-by team. On paper, we look better than them. I feel like we should have handled them.
So you basically saying that we can't beat the Jaguars, we suck. That's kind of is that what you heard, Mary Kay?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is supposed to be a get back on track.
Okay.
Even though the Jaguars
get back on track. Okay, I got you. Okay.
It's tough to win in the NFL. But before we let you go, Mary Kay, I did want to. You had breaking news earlier. Can you give an update on the sexual assault case that's pending for Deshaun Watson? What are the Browns going to do? Is there anything but the NFL said they're going to do?
Well, the NFL, I talked to the NFL today, and they said they are reviewing the case. They are taking a look at it, which I think is somewhat significant because if it just had to do with all of the other cases and was similar to those, then it really doesn't rise to the level of an NFL investigation. But they are taking a look at this one. This one includes some more egregious accusations against Deshaun. This was not a massage therapist. This was on a date. So
is it the same lawyer? I think
it is. Yes.
Okay.
Same lawyer. They tried to settle recently. They did not reach a settlement. So they went ahead and filed the lawsuit. So it's a civil suit. Once again, no criminal charges here. And then the NFL also is not considering the commissioner's exempt list, which would keep him away from the team and have him on sort of paid leave until they figure out what's going on here. That's not happening. That means he can continue on right now. He'll play against the Jaguars. He'll play against the Commanders next week unless something changes with this lawsuit.
All right, Mary Kay, again, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so much.
Keeping us updated on all the NFL scoop with our Browns. We thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And we guys will be right back. All right, now you guys, welcome back to the show. It's time for Josh's key takeaways from the game, brought to you by Affinity Whole Health. Now, Affinity Whole Health offers personalized treatment plans to help people feel better. Whether you're struggling with weight loss, low energy, muscle loss, poor sleep, they can help with it all. Infinity Whole Health provides expert guidance and support to help you safely. You heard the word, Josh?
I heard it.
Safely reach your health goals. And they really have Ohio covered with locations in Cleveland and Columbus. So do not wait any longer. Make sure you go to affinityWholeHealth.com today and set up your free consultation. Now, Josh?
All right, let's get to those key takeaways from the game. I'm going to start off with offensive game plan. I saw no offensive game plan out there whatsoever. In the first half, I believe we had 1 to 2 first downs. Am I not correct on that, Ryan?
I think
1 to 2 first downs in the entire first half. It was abysmal. I didn't know if we could run the ball. I'm like, okay, we didn't run it. When we did, it was a couple of yards, some crumbs here and there. It was as if it was non-existent. I didn't see any creativity with our game plan, so I don't even know what it was. Was it supposed to come out and let Watson just throw willingly and hope that people would catch it? There was no tricks. There was no misdirection, no screens. It was not the normal Browns offense that I'm used to. So when I looked at the Watson and the wide receivers, it was as if this was the last or first preseason game. It was as if this was the game that they were using to knock off the rust, like a preseason would do. And our fans in those preseason games, we tend to be like, oh, it's okay, because next week when the real ball start, we'll be good. This seemed like that week, like they were trying to knock off rust. But no, this is week 1. The Dallas Cowboys are here. It's week 1. Let's go. So the wide receivers and quarterbacks were off. They were not in sync, and the run game was non-existent. Let's go to key takeaway number 2. All right. Offensive line. Right? The offensive line, Ryan, I understand we had backups in the game. We all understand. We had Mary Kay come on. She told us straight like it was. She gave Deshaun Watson 25%.
Everybody got 25%.
Gave the line 25%. Basically a team loss. So we're not saying one person made or break this game and lost the game for the Browns. Right. We're not saying that. We're saying everybody took a place, but there were important pieces to this game that if these were working, we think that the success probability would be greater.
Shift some blame on someone, you can shift it over here.
Right. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But the offensive line. And I get, and we had discussions off camera, that, Deshaun Watson was actually running away from some clean pockets, Ryan. And I would say to people who say that he's running away from clean pockets, simply, it's difficult when you get rushed or, they have one of the top-ranked defensive ends on their team, and he's gotten through already a few times, Micah Parsons. And now the quarterback, knowing he has rookies or backups in the game, he visualizes those guys coming because he just got knocked out and tackled by him already. So he was getting pressured by real and phantom pressure. But the offensive line didn't give him any confidence. So he was pressured and sacked and threw ball pressure, bad balls all over the place. And if the offensive line could have just shown us an inkling of what it used to be, I think the game would have been a little better, or at least the run game would have been there. Let's move on to key number 3. The defensive mediocrity. And when I say defensive mediocrity, I'm saying because, Ryan, we're supposed to have the best defense in the land.
Yeah.
Maria, the best defense.
Best.
Not number 2.
We the best last
not number
season.
3. And when you have the Baltimore Ravens type defense of when they won the Super Bowl with Ray Lewis and the boys,
right?
I don't care what your offense does. It's just going to be 0-0.
Right. Defense shutting them down. You ain't getting nowhere. You locked up. You jammed up, baby.
Exactly. If Kevin Stefanski can't seem to get play calling, okay. If Deshaun can't make a first down, okay, guess what? Them dogs on the defensive side are shutting it down.
Ain't letting them go nowhere, baby.
Nowhere until the offense starts moving. That's the type of defense I know we have.
Right. Well, you thought we had because we see.
Are they warming up too? Are they warming up too? Are they still the best in the land? I believe them to be. I saw glimpses of it, but I did see those miscommunications and giving up plays here and there. And they scored over 30 points. On our defense, on Myles Garrett, on the trio, Juan Thornhill, what was that? And I know they're correcting things and they looking themselves in the mirror, but this was not our normal defense.
I thought I was dreaming.
So defensive mediocrity is my number 3 on the list for key takeaways from the game that would have impacted the game if they would have just had these 3 things. I have some honorable mentions on here, by the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna rattle them down.
I'm about to say, how many keys you got, Josh?
Go ahead, because it was just it was a bad
I
game.
need it, right.
It was a bad game. Honorable mention. We had the coaching. You know, I just think the coaching, that they should have put them in better situations. Come on, special teams. They had a punt return for a touchdown. Right when it was 3-21, 21-3, I thought they was going to pull out a rabbit out of a hat because I saw it before from our Browns. But when they scored that punt return touchdown, I was like, no.
And you know your boy Bubba over there.
And then Bubba,
Yeah,
I was
I
so
know
upset.
Bubba ain't gonna let them
I
go.
know
They
he
ain't
cussing
scoring
all
on
them
us.
guys
Yeah,
out.
you
But
already
also
know.
the wide receivers dropping passes. When Deshaun was struggling, he needed one of y'all to come
He
through.
needs a playmaker.
And it was no playmakers. Nobody came through to get in the separations when he was scrambling. It was none of that. I didn't see anybody. You know, you guys probably were trying, but no success. You didn't.
So the
come
lights
through.
were on, but no one was home.
Nobody was home. And then our secondary, that first touchdown that Dak Prescott threw, Ryan said it. It was some miscommunication. Mary Kay said it. There was miscommunication on the defense. There was somebody supposed to be up there. You could see Warren Thornhill pointing
How
like,
is there so
what you
much
doing?
miscommunication when you done had what? They start workouts in March. Then they done had training camp,
Because it's
O2,
different.
OTAs.
It's different once the lights cut on and it's real ball.
Say it again.
Sweating. You got sweat going in your eye.
Ain't nothing like
You're
game
huffing
time.
and puffing. You done pulled the scab off your hand. You're bleeding. Everything's stinging.
Somebody done pulled your hair. You got to go to the bathroom, but you can't make it there. You done
All
pulled
of that.
you done pulled your hammy, but you can't let nobody know
And
you
they
done pulled
shift
your
to a
hammy.
offense, and they come motioning 3 wide.
You might be a little concussed off that last play, but you can't go to the trainer. You don't even know what
can't
game
tell
you
how many
at.
fingers we holding up.
We playing the Cowboys. I thought we was playing the Ravens.
Stop it. But
It
yes,
happens.
Yes, though that's my honorable mention. Takeaways from this game. It was a lot of bad football out there on the field.
Yeah,
and
it was.
we got to do better as a team. I know they're fixing it all. We have to put something better on tape for our fans when we play against Jaguars. With that, let's take another commercial break and keep it moving.
Be right back.
We had a ton of problems on Sunday. We all know it. But one particular phase was our offensive line. We had a lot of backups. So I invited one of my former teammates, Floyd Womack, a.k.a. Pork Chop. We call him Chop. But he came back. He wanted to answer some questions for me. So I want to know from none other than an offensive lineman, somebody who's been there and done that. Floyd, I'm going to get right to it. Give me your thoughts on the offensive line. Playing with backups. We had Jedrick Wills out. He wasn't starting at left tackle, and Jack Conklin not there. How big of a missing piece to the puzzle were these guys?
So yeah, Josh, well, you know, it's hard to have stars out of your lineup, period. But to have 2 guys out of your offensive line start up, that's tough. All right, that's a tough hill. But you know, once again, we are professionals, so this next thing is next man up rule, right? But here's the deal. You miss the continuity of the offensive line when your starters are out. You want 5 guys playing as one. And when you have backups come in, they got to understand that their job is to come in and gel and mesh as fast as possible with the rest of the starters that's in already. And so it always tough, man, to see guys out when you see new guys in. But, you know, once again, it's about being the next man up, and you got to go. And, I mean, it's going to be fine. I mean, because they get playing time experience. And they also get a chance to see what game time experience is like. But the one thing you're missing once you have your starters out is you got to think about your passing communication, your run block communication, and hearing the audibles from the quarterback and everybody being on the same page. And when you gel at the offensive line, and when you have that continuity at your offensive line with your starters, you know it's a whole lot different than when it's out there with, you know, backups. But not saying backup is a bad thing, but the one thing the backup has to do is just know that the pressure's on just to come in and communicate for that short time and make sure you be on the same page with everybody else. And so the biggest thing is you understand that you want to do your job and know that the guy beside you is going to do his. And so when you have backups in, and that's what you're expecting, because no matter what it is, we're all still professionals. And so with that being said, you don't want to fall off, but sometimes it happens because it's about the continuity. It's about gelling with that person beside you. But, all in all, it's going to be fine. It's just the fact that, they just got to get the job done until the starters get back.
Floyd, Deshaun Watson was sacked way too many times. Rushed out of the pocket, quarterback hurries. He was scrambling all over the place. I mean, was it just him or was it the lineman? Tell us, man. Come on. Tell us what happened out there.
But once again, it goes back to the continuity of the offensive line. You have two guys out, okay? And so it's hard to win games with starters. So when you have backups in and the defensive coordinator knows that, he's going to try to exploit those guys that's new out there. And so, Deshaun took a lot of hits. Deshaun did a lot of scrambling around. And this could be a lot of things. This could be the defensive scheme was a little bit better. Once again, you have two guys out. So that's going to always be a problem, right? Because, once again, you want five guys playing as one. And once that start getting broken down a little bit, the defense coordinator knows that they want to exploit them. So they're going to try to exploit matchups with the offensive line versus the defensive line. And so with that being said, I mean, it's a lot that goes into that to play. But, when you see your quarterback running around and getting hit, it's never a good thing. But the biggest thing you see coming out of is, you got starters out. And I think right now that's the biggest thing that's hurting the offensive line play with the Cleveland Browns.
So, Floyd, do you think that the defensive line for the Cowboys was just that good, and the pressures that the Cowboys defensive coordinator was that complex that we couldn't handle it?
They have a good defensive front, and hell, we do too. But the one thing we have to look at, we got to talk about the elephants in the room, is the penalties on first and second down. Okay, that mess with your play calling. From one down to another once we can't get a good start of or every time we got a good start of moving the ball, we had these self-inflicted wounds of not lining up right or false starts and all of that. So that hurts the play calling, and once you get behind as fast as we did, you got to go to the passing game now, because now you're playing catch up. So I think the biggest thing we need to work on is not having those self-inflicted wounds and not hurting ourselves with penalties. So I think that was the biggest thing I gathered from the game is we had way too many penalties. We got to be a whole lot more disciplined on the offense of not hurting ourselves when we try to move the ball.
All right, Floyd, one more before I let you go. Do you think the Browns can bounce back from this Week 1 loss?
Oh, absolutely. I know they can bounce back. The Browns have a really, really good team. I just think they just have to go back to the drawing board and just go back to the smaller things and just work on the little things of not just jumping off sides and lining up right. Stop the self-inflicted wounds, okay? That's like the biggest thing you got to stop if you want to keep a good drive going. We can't hurt ourselves in doing a drive. It's hard to get yards in this game, and it's hard to get first downs in this game, let alone touchdowns. So if they can clean up their self-inflicted wounds, they'll be fine.
All right, Chop, we appreciate your time. That's my former teammate, Browns guard, tackle. He played everything on the offensive line, a.k.a. Chop, man. I appreciate you. Coming up next, we dig into y'all social media comments that y'all left under my posts. We're going to dig into it. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Return. Josh, what you got?
So listen, after the game, I put out an Instagram post, and I said, this is how Browns fans are on Monday. And then I told them to give me their thoughts on the Browns' loss to Dallas, which we'll read. All of us will read it after this video. Check the video out. If you were addressing the media or the team, what were some of the things that you saw that the Browns need to immediately fix right away before going into next week? And be specific. We saw a lot of penalties. If y'all saw it too, y'all can put it down in the comments. Penalties at the wrong time, they cost us. Not being on the same page, it seemed like the receivers and the quarterback, they just weren't in sync. They weren't on the same page. I don't want to say that's because of preseason, but the live reps and the scramble drill. I know a lot of you guys don't understand what a scramble drill is, but it's when the pocket breaks down. You have to actually practice when the quarterback scrambles. The original routes are no more. If you was going on a go route, now you might be going on a comeback. If you was going across the field, you might have to change direction and go back the other way. So the scramble drills, which happened so much yesterday, they could have been huge. So when the quarterback gets out the pocket, they need to practice that more, because honestly, that's what Roethlisberger and the Steelers used to do their whole entire offense. Again, one person didn't win or lose this game. We tend to be more emotional when depicting the game instead of analytical and logical about what actually took place during the games. We've been here before. Don't pretend like we ain't been here before as Browns fans. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, guys. So we are set for our table read. Okay. I got my readers on.
Like the actress, yes.
You ready, Ryan?
I'm ready.
You ready, Maria?
I'm ready to go.
All right, I'm going first.
Okay.
Jedi 6 Actual. He's at the top, Jedi 6 Actual. He says, I'm sorry, but Watson continues to be a problem. Let's be realistic. How much time does he need to get back to what he was? Besides, he's facing a new set of sexual assault allegations from another woman. We don't need another distraction with his off-the-field allegations. We just heard from Mary Kay. Mm-hmm. Mary Kay said, hey, the NFL, they're going to let the legal process take. So he's not going to exempt list, so he's going to be able to play. So we don't have to worry about none of that, because it's also not criminal, and those are stuff that be settled outside of court, outside of the criminal prosecution.
Right.
So it's week 1. I say we shouldn't be panicking. The people calling for Watson's head, I think, man, hey, it's too soon for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we agree with that? Too soon. We need more football.
I need to see what he can do.
Right. We need to see more football.
Right.
All right, Ryan, you go.
Alrighty, we're looking at, let's see here. We got She's so Swift Clee.
Hey,
the biggest mistake is that they never played the starters in the preseason. Yesterday's game looked like a practice or a preseason game. Everyone looked rusty and unprepared.
I've been saying it.
Well, I will say that they did look unprepared. That is for sure. I do kind of agree with her. I think that Deshaun Watson should have played. You know, the reason that you didn't play him out there was because you didn't have your starting tackles. Well, come week 1, what happened? You didn't have your starting tackles. So it would have been that way either way. I agree. They were rusty. Deshaun didn't look great. Everybody could have used preseason reps.
All right.
All right. Here I go. I got Rock the Barber.
Rock the Barber. What's up, baby?
What's up, Rock? He said, I would like to see how the game flows with an offensive coordinator calling the plays instead of our head coach.
So that's he calling for Coach Kevin Stefanski. Again, I think it's week 1. I think we need to see more ball, and it's not time to push the panic button yet. I'm going to go again. That cool?
Go ahead.
All right. Mankello. I honestly think I'm sick of the same crap they put on the field year after year and expect us to support the lame excuses they give us week after week. Personally, I've had enough. I wouldn't go watch them if you gave me free tickets and parking pass. And a parking pass?
Mankello, stop that.
Haslam just wants to line his pockets with our fans and money. With our fans' money, he said.
Oh. Mankello, you know good and goddamn well they offer you 2 tickets to the game.
And a pass?
And the parking pass, you're going to be there.
So listen.
Who you going to root for?
So listen. Again, I say the same thing. As fans, we can't be too emotional past the first couple days. We have to be analytical when looking at our team and not emotional. That's what I would say to that. Ryan, go again.
Alrighty, we're looking at Stoney Williams 92. He says, the Baker Mayfield fans are all coming out now, LOL, but I feel the real ex-quarterback who was more impressive against a better team was Brissett. He beat a very good Bengals team. Baker beat a rebuilding Commanders team. Pump the damn brakes, Baker fans. Jeesh.
Oh.
Right. Now, my mom always advocated for Brissett to stay here, remember? Yeah.
Because everybody talking about Brissett and Baker had good games, Ryan.
Yeah.
And they're on fire. But it's week 1.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit, right?
And I agree. The Baker fans are coming out of the woodwork. But like the thing is, this is all revisionist history. Baker wouldn't have became who he is currently if he didn't go through the adversity of going to LA, going to the Panthers, and he recognizes that. He says he didn't handle things probably the way he should have. Yes, I'm sure the Browns slipped up here and there, but so did Baker. and they're both probably better off that they parted ways.
Absolutely. I know Baker is. Maria, go
All
ahead.
right, well, this is my last one right here. This is from Randy J. Caps. It was an it show, and it's been an it show ever since we.
Is he itching?
Yeah, the S word.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
The S
he
word.
didn't use
Explicit.
the dollar sign. He spelled it out.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
He said it's been one ever since we sit our guys last game of the year and got thumped and been more or less blown out in every game since playoffs, preseason, and now this. Randy
Everybody
said,
mad.
look, Randy said, come see him. He said, it's
All
an
right.
it show.
Yeah, it's an ish show.
Ish.
Explicit.
You know, just Ryan, just block it out. I did
Show.
act okay. I almost said it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but we'll be taking comments from the fans on a weekly basis.
We love
I'll
the
be
fans'
doing
comments.
it also on my social media. I love to hear what the fans have to say, and then we'll respond to you on a weekly basis. Let's get it all out the system for next week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to do that.
I'm going to act like Sunday didn't happen. I'm just going to ignore.
I'm okay with that.
It's like that one person that you went on a date with, and it may
you want to pretend like it never happened.
And it wasn't worth it. It don't.
See
If
that?
if it wasn't worth it, it don't count.
I don't think we can say
If it wasn't good, it don't count.
you,
If the date, I'm talking about the food at the restaurant.
I hear you with the date.
Yeah, if it wasn't good, it don't count.
That's not it. That's not how you
That's
count
how it goes.
bodies.
I didn't count bodies. I
Yeah.
said date. I didn't say intimacy. I said date.
Okay,
I don't know you, bro. It ain't.
that's another thing. That's another topic.
We got to go to commercial, Josh.
Okay.
All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, now you guys, welcome back to the show. Now I feel like we've been coming down pretty hard on our brownies. I mean, I know we still
have the
salty
right
from.
to,
I know we still
and
salty
they come
from
down
Sunday.
hard on themselves as well, because it's up to them. The onus is on them to do better.
Okay,
right?
that's all
and
we
they
doing.
will.
We
I
said
have faith in them.
We said everything we said in love.
In love.
Yeah.
Family. Because if it was another fan saying it, we'd be up in arms.
We don't
Don't
talk.
let nobody. Yeah.
That's like somebody talking about your mama. I can talk bad about my
I can
mama.
talk about. I
You
can say I
can't,
hate
so
her.
you
She
better
gave
not
me
say
a whooping.
right. Don't say nothing. So you know that's
But
how
we
it
ain't letting
is.
nobody else do it right. Go ahead, baby.
But I will say this. I have one positive takeaway from the game.
Okay.
I really enjoyed listening to Tom Brady in my ear because I had my headphones on when I was washing dishes, watching the game.
All right.
I loved hearing his perspective. I felt like he gave us, an insight of what he was teaching. He was giving us insight of what the QB might be thinking or what some of the players down there are thinking. I loved it. I think he did
I gave him a B+. There were times where he was a little shaky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was unintentionally rating him or seeing how it was, Ryan. But how do you think
he did?
Tom Brady did?
I think he did okay. He was super nervous, no doubt
I
about
heard that
it.
too,
Like
yeah.
the jitters were there, but I mean that's to be expected. I mean, obviously he's been in the limelight his whole career, but it's a different medium, right? I mean, not every player can come into the broadcast booth, but I think he's going to be a great broadcaster
Absolutely.
still. And it was just a little bit of road bump. What's going to be a very successful second career for him.
Exactly.
And not every player can get into the broadcasting booth because they ain't all as good looking as him. You know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking about it like, why did Tom Brady?
God,
I was like, why did
Ryan,
you would think he would want to coach,
why did we
or
make
you know what I'm
this-
saying? Try to position himself to be like a,
Oh my goodness.
what's wrong? He has a face for TV. Y'all knew what he was going to do. You knew where Tom Brady was going to sit right down there and make his
I was
millions
going
and
to
commentate in
say
that game.
to football fans who actually watch and listen to the sport, we could tell you how he did and the difference of someone who isn't so football minded. How you
Who's
took
not
it.
me?
No, how you saw the game and you was like, oh man, I loved it. But me and Ryan, we
Ryan.
knew the pieces were there.
Ryan, did you
Yes.
watch the game with surround sound on?
Uh,
You was at home on the couch,
He
right?
saw the game.
He had it through the TV speakers.
You
I
had surround-
Tom Brady in my subconscious
I actually
mind.
had the Apple VR on.
See that? Shashi
So
made
it was
it
like
sexual.
wide. So it was basically. I would say
Ryan, hold
something
on. No, you did not.
You had Tom Brady in your.
I'm just playing.
I was
subconscious-
gonna say what? That'd be crazy.
Hold on, guys.
Huh?
Maria is being a little too. You had
He was
Tom
on-
Brady in your subconscious.
Yeah, I had my Sony headphones on, and it got surround sound button, and I just heard his smooth voice just giving me,
What do they
play
call
by
that,
play.
Ryan?
and-
When somebody eating
ASMR.
ASMR.
Oh
That how
yeah,
it
yeah. I
felt?
can hear him like chopping his teeth.
So next
and-
time, just picture
he
me
did mess
eating
up.
a
He did
sandwich.
fumble a couple of times.
I'm gonna record myself eating
he
a
almost
sandwich
trickled over
and let you hear that.
JOK's name.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's like I like to see him slip up sometimes. He's human. He
Right.
gets nervous. He makes mistakes. But I will say this: he was well prepared.
Okay.
Very well
Yeah.
prepared.
All right.
Another thing I want to discuss. If you notice, Ezekiel Elliott, I was like, Wait a minute, I thought he was on the Cowboys no more.
Right. He's back. He's back.
But he's wearing a different number.
Right.
Y'all
He
check
looked
that out.
funny in that number.
Huh?
We knew.
Okay, y'all. Okay.
Okay, yeah, we knew.
So what I was gonna ask was, how much does one pay? Because I'm like, is it a matter of he wanted a new number, a new start? Was somebody else already rocking his number, his old number? How much would a player pay to get their old jersey number back?
Oh, it depends. It depends. But Ezekiel Elliott is at the end of his career, I would say, and he's not dropping that type of money to get his jersey back. Because sometimes they pay like, 100,000. Yeah, like that.
How bad?
Sometimes it's 50. Something, and sometimes the guy who has it is not tripping. He'll give it to him willingly. But is that a smart thing to do if you know somebody gonna give you $100K for it? Oh, you gonna make them pay for it. You gonna just throw out a reasonable number and make them pay for it. That's all. Yeah, that's all. But he did pretty well on his back. I thought we were gonna shut him down completely. So I was surprised that he even had a successful run game against us.
He did.
Another thing, part of me. But you mentioned something about Lil Wayne, Kendrick Lamar.
So this is the thing, okay? And Ryan, are you familiar with Lil Wayne?
Of course I am.
Okay, 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot. Okay, exactly. So when you think of New Orleans, who do you think of?
Lil Wayne.
So when you know that the Super Bowl is going to be held in New Orleans,
right?
They said Nolans down there, right? How they said Nolans. I'm just trying to understand. I love Kendrick Lamar.
You know, Hot Boys?
Yes. I love Kendrick Lamar. He had a great hit. He got a great summer. He has Grammys on top of Grammys on top of Grammys. But when I think of New Orleans, I think of Lil Wayne. I think of Juvenile. I think of Master P.
Lil Wayne hasn't done a concert in quite some time.
But that's where when you think of down south, you think of.
But you know what? A lot of people haven't.
But he always comes to
who
the
did the last
LSU games. Like he is diehard for his
right.
his
So
town.
you're saying he should have been the one.
I just thought it was a missed opportunity, but maybe I don't know because everybody up in arms about it on social. Do y'all feel like Lil Wayne should be headlining the Super Bowl halftime show, or do you feel like his music is too much for that? I don't know. I feel like he should be in some aspect brought on stage as his town, or maybe you don't know. Maybe he was busy, he couldn't commit to it. I'm not sure, but I do feel like if you're gonna have a Super Bowl down there again in New Orleans, Lil Wayne need to headline that joint.
Maria, what's the best Kendrick song?
I like Artist. Okay, so y'all don't know he did the Black Panther soundtrack.
What's the best song? She gonna talk about
and
the
I know
soundtrack.
just what you want. Hey,
Okay.
Poetic justice,
Hey.
put it in the song.
Come
All right,
on.
but
Yeah.
I mean DNA. I got loyalty,
All right.
got royalty inside my. I'm a
He
Kendrick
didn't
Lamar
say
fan.
go through the playlist.
Oh, I know, but okay.
He just said
I was
favorite
on before. They not like us though.
Browns, Jaguars.
but they not like us though. Sometimes you gotta
Browns
pop
are
out and show.
playing against the Jaguars.
Yes,
This is a back on track game. We need it.
yes.
Go Dogs.
We ending the show like that?
We ending the
I gotta
show.
find
Go
out what's
Dogs.
the next one that Tom Brady gonna be commentating now.
I don't care about Tom
Love
Brady. I
y'all.
care
See y'all
about the
next week.
dogs.